Um, so, welcome to this webinar by the Serendipity Experience. My name is Amanda O'Shea, the Loving Life Coach, and we've named this talk Across the Pond because we've got some friends gathered here on this call from Spain and from the UK and from the States, San Francisco. And it was just really nice to communicate with people in this time of what's going on right now, to just see how we're all, how we're all doing. But especially, I've been following my friend Deirdre's posts on Facebook, knowing that she is there on the front line, and you can see her there with her dog. What's the dog called, Deirdre?
This is Bodhi.
Bodhi. Oh, gorgeous! Absolutely gorgeous.
He's an adorable little monster.
Oh, absolutely gorgeous. And so, Deirdre, I'm going to I'll let you introduce yourself here, but I just thought it'd be really interesting for us to just speak with someone or just have a little chat with someone is out there on the front line. And I did see some of your photos on Facebook, which I just loved. Can I share them? Can I just share them from your Facebook?
Sure.
I'm going to share these. I'm going to share this
Yeah.
with everybody, which is just, let me just bring this here and let you see. This is Deirdre in her get up at work. I've been following, I've been following what that people have been putting up with you too. And you've been well fed, it looks like. I saw there was a kind of, they're really feeding all the nurses there, and this is you. Another day at the office, hey?
That's right.
Yeah. So you've got all the gear anyway.
Yeah, we do. We seem to have kind of enough gear for the moment. Like, we're definitely rationing. We've changed our standards of using protective gear, which is a little bit galling for us, but we understand the necessity for that. But it's a little irritating, kind of been told, okay, now we're going to do this, whereas last month, the state would have closed us down for doing that. So that's a bit disturbing.
Do you mean like reusing stuff and like, or not? Yeah.
Absolutely. Like 2 months ago, you use a mask, you throw it away immediately. You don't reuse it. And same with gown coverings. You go into a room with somebody who's contaminated, you throw away the gown as you come out. Now they've actually made us washable gowns now, so they're trialing them at the moment. And we can wear one per shift, or if necessary, maybe two per shift if it gets soiled. But the idea is just reuse the same gown, even with different patients, which is not the standard of care prior to this.
Yeah, so everyone's adapting, right? Everyone's really adapting. Most of these calls were brought together, Deirdre, because from webinars that we've been doing, sharing the understanding that I know that you're familiar with, of sort of how the mind works, and people that have been, have had an introduction. So people on this call have been on retreats of mine. I've been sharing this understanding, and I know that you were exposed to that when you came to visit me a few years ago. Deirdre and I have been friends for years and years and years, and we first met in Sydney, Australia, when we were both temping for Qantas Airlines, when we were both doing our travels around the world.
We were babies.
Sorry, yeah, we were. So I must have been 21. That's like, it must be like 29 years ago or 30 years ago, something like that. And
it was in 94 or 90. No, it was in 92, wasn't it? Yeah.
I don't know. I know it was back then. I was 21 or 22, and we've been friends since. And Deirdre come to see me in London, and I went to see her in Dublin, and then we've met up in different places. I've been to San Francisco to visit her, and she's been to Spain to visit me. And so it's lovely to have this sort of call. I love this connection that we have anyway. We all have it before the coronavirus. We were all connected, but it's having friends like that, where you it's like you've seen each other yesterday. You know, I love that when you have friendships that pick up like that. So knowing that you were, knowing that where you were at, being in the front line, because you are, aren't you, Deirdre? You started working at that hospital how long ago?
I've been working at UCSF for 17 years in the emergency department.
Yeah. So have you ever seen anything like this before? I mean, is this something that's kind of...
Oh, nobody alive today has seen anything like this ever before.
Yeah. So I think
this is new to the entire world.
Yeah. So it's not just us who, we don't. I mean, you are down there, and what I was saying before was, I'm really interested to know how you guys are all, so I know that you have what I would call a very healthy mindset. That's what I would call it. And I know that you have an understanding of how your thinking and feeling system works. People that are down there then on the front line, what are you experiencing, or how are you guys all kind of dealing with what's going on right now? I feel like a reporter.
Well, the emergency room, I think, breeds a special type of person who likes a little bit of crazy, so we're all a little bit crazy and we're kind of drawn to that. And we all have like a certain amount of, I don't know if you'd call it laissez-faire, or just kind of, fuck it, let's just get on with it attitude. So that's what we do, So when this all started like 2-3 weeks ago, the hospitals thankfully took it pretty seriously right away and started setting up disaster tents out front. We've had them up and running for, I think, almost 3 weeks now. And they started setting up protocols. And when I say the hospital, I really should credit more my work colleagues directly, because it wasn't like the hospital came and said, okay, now we're going to do this. It was my colleagues, the attendings I work with, and a couple of the nurses I work with, who were like, fuck it, let's do this. We got to make this happen. So it was people I directly work with who made it happen and who told the hospital what we need to do. And the hospital kind of said, okay. And, initially my work colleagues were like, finally, because they had been screaming and shouting for this kind of stuff for years. They've been asking for disaster preparedness stuff for years. And the hospital would always kind of go, oh, yeah. And they drag their feet. So initially, we got some storage stuff out of the parking lots that have been there for years that my colleagues have been trying to get rid of. They were gone within like 2 days. And then we got the tents, and it took about 4 days to get permission from the fire department to keep them up and everything. And then we started like trialing using the tents for screening and stuff. And then, our department, I've been working there 17 years, and the volume of patients we see and the level of critical patients we've seen over 17 years has just grown exponentially every year. The hospital is growing, and the hospital is always doing more surgeries. And as a result, we end up holding a lot of inpatients, which we don't have space for. And we've been screaming and shouting for years, stop doing so many surgeries, but we're not the moneymaker. The surgeries are the moneymaker. So the hospital is, like every hospital in the United States, a business. And I hear this often from my superiors, like the CNO, the higher ups in the hospital. They're like, well, we're running a business. We have to make money. And that goes against everything in Europe. So it's kind of a completely different paradigm here. And it goes against the grain and I think what healthcare should be about. Healthcare should never be about a business and making money. Like that's what a business is. It's making money. So for years we've been struggling and screaming, and then finally, like, they stopped doing all the surgeries. They cut all the elective surgeries, and our department is now running way below its capacity. Like we're now operating like a real emergency room, where actually only emergencies come in, and so as nurses we've been like, oh hallelujah, this is great, this is what it's supposed to be like. Plus we've ramped up and added extra staff because of the tents, so we're overstaffed. We have a lower census than usual. And for us, it's actually been like much better. The main concern is what's coming, which still hasn't come. Like I haven't been there. I've been off for the last 3 days. So I don't know what's happening this weekend and today. But there's this sense of impending doom, or there's this sense of the tsunami that's coming, and it feels like we're all sitting in little rowboats on the shore just waiting, and we've got a lot of rowboats and they're all full of people, and we're like, okay, where is it? And we don't know what it's going to be like when it gets here. It's probably going to be fucking horrible, but we're still waiting. So, and then we're trying to figure out, how to utilize and manage and spare our PPE. And then we were running out of test kits. Like the first week or so, we had no means of doing the tests ourselves. We could do the swabs, but we couldn't run the tests. So we had to send the tests to Atlanta to the CDC. So we would be sending them on lots of people, and then the CDC wasn't running them. They would refuse them because they didn't meet criteria. And then finally Stanford, like after about a week, I think Stanford developed its own test. And then the next week we developed our own test and finally got approval to use that by the FDA. And then we started running out of test kits. And then last week we got a bunch more test kits from the federal stock supply, but I don't know how long that's going to last. I think we got a limited supply and that's going to run out, and I don't know what we're going to do after that.
So are you seeing how many people are in there at the moment that are kind of, or when you left 3 days ago, is there
It's really hard for me to say that, Mandy. That's kind of beyond my pay grade. Like I'm just a nurse working in the tent. I don't even know how many people are been intubated inside when I'm out of the tent necessarily. Last week, the hospital sends us kind of emails on how many patients we have in the hospital right now who are positive. And last week it was, I think, 7. So we're doing hundreds of tests. Some are coming back positive. We're starting to receive more patients who have been referred into us, who have been tested and are positive, and they're now coming into us. But I haven't personally experienced anybody requiring intubation in our emergency department yet. I think we're kind of starting to get to the point where there may be people in our department who are positive who have no symptoms. We're trying to keep anybody who has symptoms outside. Unless they're known positive, then we'll bring them directly into a private room and try to isolate them. But we had a patient last week who, for whatever reason, had to be tested, I think, to be transferred to another facility. And he was not there for anything to do with cough, shortness of breath, or fever. And his test came back positive. And he hadn't been in isolation, and he'd been walking around our department. And, so I think we're starting to see more of that. But like I think soon, I don't know, maybe by the time I go back tomorrow, I think we will probably be treating everybody at some point like they have it already. So
I'm interested to know how you're, like, as a group of nurses anyway, right? Like you say, so you're all of a similar kind of, you're doing the job because you like doing that job and you're interested in that job. And so, because my experience has been that everybody's actually much more okay than people have been talking about. Like people actually seem very calm and feel okay and whatever. So I'm just, any of the, but that's only my circle of friends, clients, and what I'm seeing. I see that there's more, not more than panic or fear, just overwhelm. But that's more of the situation and change. People having to work from home, children having to be at home, people having a change of their routine. That's been bigger, kind of more thinking about that. But I haven't had that I haven't seen. What I've seen is not that, this whole, the talk, everyone's going to go into panic and fear, but that's not what I've experienced. I don't know if anybody else on the call.
Well, from here, like for me personally, the first few weeks didn't affect my life at all. I usually work 2 12-hour shifts a week. I started picking up half a shift or a shift extra a week. And other than that, it's like I go work on my boat by myself. That's not going to change. I go walk the dogs. That's not going to change. I initially did go sailing with a couple of friends, just a few of us on a boat. And then last week I decided, no, I'm not even going to do that. I'm not going to go out on anybody's boat. So, you know, the isolation is definitely, I think, the first thing that most people notice. And I think most people here commute to work and work in an office. So for them, it's strange being at home. And it's nice walking around your neighborhood and seeing everybody at home and everybody, you know, in their houses. You know, the traffic is much quieter. Usually there's like a low level hum of traffic here. That's much quieter. The birds are fantastic. You hear a lot more birds and wildlife. Supposedly coyotes have been seen walking on the streets of San Francisco. Like San Francisco is just barren. You know, it's really strange. My commute is phenomenal. My commute takes me 15 minutes. I used to have to give myself 40 to 45 minutes. Our hospital opened up parking, so our parking is free, although a lot of people in the neighborhood started using it, so it actually became difficult to park for a while. You know, so for me, I think it didn't change very much initially. Now it's like in work, we're kind of happy, but we're expecting this tsunami. And I think the sense out on the street is that people are actually less stressed in many ways, because they're not like running here, running there, dropping the kids off here, picking up deadlines, appointments. So there's actually like a drop to the majority of stress, but there's this new underlying stress, which is the finances. You know, how are people going to make their rent? How are they going to pay their bills? You know, there's little to no safety net here. So people are really scared, you know, about what's going to happen next month, you know, because there's just no end to this in sight. You know, and me and my colleagues are fortunate, like we have jobs, we have job security, you know, even if we get sick, we have health insurance, you know, but there are a lot of people here that don't have that. So that's causing a kind of a deep underlying stress here.
I'm going to just invite Michelle in to the conversation. Michelle's question.
Yeah, hi Deirdre. I just want to say I'm a nurse over here as well, and everything that you've just said is exactly the same terminology and everything that we're saying here. It's quite funny to hear that you're using exactly the same words, and it's exactly, you could be based in my local hospital down the road. Because we are experiencing exactly the same. We're saying we're waiting for the tsunami to come, and it's the other thing, like the A&E departments at the moment, they're sort of empty because of all these people who used to have all these ailments. All of a sudden they've gone, and you know, people are using A&E how they should have been using A&E the whole time, and not running there because of they've got a pain in their knee which they've had for 6 months, and then just decide to turn up in A&E, you know, with it at 12 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. And it's the same, like the nurses are saying, it's like we're doing proper nursing at the moment. We've got a few cases in, but where all the non-essentials have gone, like all the, you know, planned surgeries, you know, it's like nurses can actually do the nursing that they've wanted to do because of we're waiting. You know, we've cleared everything.
I gotta go let my senior dog in the front door. She's barking. I'll be right back. Hold on.
It's isn't that funny, Michelle? Like everyone, like we're talking about reset for everybody. You know, there's such opportunities here for everybody. Oh, that's how it looks for me, you know, forever hopeful and all that kind of stuff. But are you working at the hospital at the moment? Are you in?
I'm not at the moment. I've been I mainly teach the nursing students at the moment, so I do lecturing in the university for the nursing students, and I can't go in the hospitals at the moment because I've got health conditions. I'm now one of the people who aren't allowed out for 12 weeks.
Right.
but I can still do what I do. You know, I'm doing as much as I can do from home. Like, this is my 5th Zoom meeting that I've had today.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I'm still like in touch with all of my colleagues and stuff there, because of, we do have a problems with the PPE, with the protective gear. You know, like getting it in, and you know, people, you know, like all my nursing colleagues are being put at risk because of, we haven't got the right protective gear. And it's been to the point where I'm even texting builders and building companies that I know, saying to my builder friends, have you got any masks? Have you got any goggles? Any equipment that you're not using? Please donate to Southend Hospital. Because of, and this is it, because of, we sort of know it's coming in a couple of weeks' time. It's like we're battening down the hatches, waiting for, yeah, what's waiting to come, which is quite an unnerving sort of kind of feeling. You know, you're just waiting for it. So yeah, I'm just doing what I can. It's frustrating for me that I'm not actually allowed to be in the hospital at the moment. Like, you know, I'm not allowed to step out my front door at the moment. So it's quite frustrating, just trying to do what you can from indoors. And even if it is just trying to get some extra masks and goggles into my colleagues in the hospital, if that's all I can do at the moment. I'm getting plenty of phone calls from friends and family, which is absolutely fine, telling me, Michelle, I feel like this. You know, I'm getting emergency calls at 10 o'clock at night where people are having panic attacks, ringing me up. Oh, I can't breathe, I've got it. And me just saying to them, have you had a cough? Have you had a temperature? You know, a sudden shortness of breath, you're not gonna, you know. So yeah, I've been doing what I can do to help in that sense. But yeah, it's just frustrating that I'm not allowed out my house for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Can I make a comment on what's going on here? Yeah.
Thanks.
Like all the hospitals are waiting for the tsunami to happen, it's actually happened for the community pharmacists, because a lot of the doctors have prescribed 2 or 3 months worth of medicines, and then there's become shortages. And a lot of people have gone to community pharmacists and got very angry and shouted at them, and all they're trying to do is do their best. And a few people have gone back on the register and have gone back to work. But because I'm a pharmacist and I'm on all the groups, you know, I've been quite concerned about how people aren't really thinking of them as NHS workers, because they're actually on the side. And so there's been that's it, you know, they can't really cope with anymore, and they're doing things like closing at lunchtime or closing for an hour in the afternoon so they can get the work done. But that's just been a something that's actually happened in the UK, because of course medicines are free here, and people don't realise that we do actually, you know, they are actually paid for by the NHS. So that's just an interesting one.
So is that panic, do you think, Lynn? People
Oh, it is panic. It's people panicking that they won't have their medicines, and getting really worried about it. It's a bit like the toilet rolls, you know, situation and the bread. But there is a supply, but the pharmacies have only got in what they would normally give out of the regular medicines, and yet it isn't any medicine that is needed for the virus, because you know, no medicine is of any help. And then the community pharmacists are saying that they haven't got any protective equipment, and they've had to put in you know, they've had to put in barriers, and some people, and then people having to queue outside the shop. And that's very difficult for somebody who's poorly, and they're just letting one in. But then people are pushing in and shouting, which majority of people are fine, but the odd person is getting very, very angry, because community pharmacists are quite accessible. So it's a real shame that when they're just trying to do their job, they're not, you know, they're not being looked after as much as they could be.
Mm. We're going to see it all, aren't we? You know, we're going to see all human behaviors playing out. And what's really interesting for me is, like, what we've been pointing to on these kind of webinars is that all behavior comes from one place. Our behavior comes from how we're feeling in the moment, and how we're feeling in the moment comes from one place, how we're thinking in the moment. So not everybody that's in that queue for the pharmacist is feeling irate and angry, you know. So it's not everybody that's in a very similar situation, which is lots of us now. Lots of us are on, our incomes have just dropped away, or we've been laid off, or, you know, it's like globally, for us to stand in our ground with what we're pointing to, which is not even the coronavirus has the power to make you feel a certain way, might feel really alien to lots of people. Because even though I see the truth in that, even though I really, really see it, I also really see that must sound really alien last night, must seem really alien now, because it, you know, but everybody's feeling this, but not everybody's feeling the same thing. Not everybody is feeling the same thing about a very similar situation. And there's something about, like what Michelle was pointing to earlier, you know, if we're able to just get quiet and do whatever it is without resistance of what we're allowed to do, like as a nurse, I can imagine that, not being able to be, like, you know, all your training and all you've ever wanted to be is to be part of something, to not be able to do that, I can imagine would feel quite frustrating, or, you know, I can only imagine how I would feel, quite frustrating. But to sit quiet and to fall into that place of clarity, okay, well, what can I do? You know, what can I do? That there's something there for me where that collective kind of access to wisdom comes through, and we find ourselves being really helpful. We don't have to be in front. You don't have to be in the front of the scene or whatever, right? You know, we can do a lot from just getting quiet and like, okay, you know, how can we help? I love what you said, Deirdre, you know, when you were, like, people were really singing your praises, like, oh, the front line and this and that, and you were a bit like, listen, we're just doing our job.
Yeah.
We're just, you know, this is what we do.
Exactly, yeah. It's like there's nothing to praise at this point. Like in 2-3 weeks time, if we're really in the trenches and getting hammered, then there might be something to praise. Right now there's nothing to praise. You know, there's, like, a year ago this time there was, you know, that we were drowning, we were hemorrhaging, we were, you know, scared people were going to die in our waiting room, and nobody was saying, hey, thanks guys, great job, you know. And we've been fucking suffering for years. So I'm kind of like taking it as like, okay, that's back, thanks, sure, great, you're welcome. But right now, yeah, there's nothing really to thank yet. And like, I'm really grateful for all these meals everybody's sending us, but we all feel a little bit guilty about that too, because it's like, geez, you know, like, we've got a job, we can afford food. The people donating this, you know, they don't have a lot. Like, one of my colleagues put together a GoFundMe to buy us all a meal, which was really nice and generous, and actually organizing it so that she buys the meal from a friend of mine's restaurant, which is going to be great too, because it'll give her some business. But her mother donated like $80. Her mother is like wheelchair bound, you know. She's an invalid, she's isolated in her house, and she's fucking, and that makes me feel bad, you know, like, oh, go buy your mom some groceries with that $80, you know. She needs it more than we need a meal, you know, like, we're not starving. If anything, we're going to be getting fat, you know. So we feel a little bit guilty about that.
But can I just say something here?
Is that Sarah?
Yeah, hi. I just think, like Michelle sitting there not being able to go on the front line and do stuff, I think people donating stuff and doing their bit, they feel that they're helping out and they're doing something. And I know, you say a year ago you were under pressure, but this is life-threatening now, and you are on the front line, and we do really appreciate all that you're doing. Everybody does appreciate all that. Everyone on the front line is putting their lives at risk. So we do really appreciate that. And I think people will do things from their armchair to help in any way they can. So I think, yeah.
Well, I feel very honored and privileged to be able to do my job at this point. Like, you know, when I got into nursing years ago, it was because I you know, I used to be a computer programmer, and I was so over that. I was so over kind of, oh, this deadline, that deadline, you know, we have to have it by Friday. You got to stay up all night tonight to get this done. And I'm like, fuck that. Why? Nobody's going to die. I said this to Mandy before. I said, give me a job where if I fuck up, somebody's going to die. That's the kind of deadline I need. So, you know, nursing and emergency nursing has really suited me in many ways, because it, you know, it lights a fire under my ass and keeps me honest, and it's never boring. It's got technology, it's got humanity, it's got physicality to it, you know, and we have a great team, and I love all of that. And in the last few years, I've been hating on it. I've been hating on it because we're so stretched, and we're held to such a high standard that we can't live up to, because the emergency rooms in the United States have become the catch-all for everything. You know, you have your emergencies, plus you have, most of your department is inpatients who don't have a bed upstairs, so they stay with you for days. Plus a third of our department is full of psychiatric patients, because there's no psychiatric facilities in the United States. So we keep them for days. And then you have all the referrals coming in, who the neurologist can't get them in to see the specialist because their insurance company will refuse it. So they come to us. And then you have the post-ops who have an issue, and the surgical clinic says, well, go to the emergency room, I'll see you there. So we're the catch-all for everything. And it's become really frustrating because we can't do our job to the standard that we would like. We're seeing patients in hallways. We're doing EKGs on women in hallways. We're doing, you know, IVs and physical exams in hallways. Like, there's no privacy. You know, and that's been going against everything we've been trained for the last several years. And yet this is what we've been doing now for years, and it's just become the norm, and it's horrible. So right now in this crisis, it feels like, okay, this is what we've been training for years. Like, we finally feel like, okay, this is what we're ready for. So we're more than happy to be doing this. It's like, you know, going back to Amanda's kind of talk about the thoughts and your mind creating your reality and all of this. It's like, we're taking all the precautions we can take, and we've been very careful, and everybody on the planet is becoming OCD, including myself. And, you know, I'm just telling myself, I'm not going to get sick. That's, you know, I'm just going to truck along, take care, be careful, hand wash, OCD, all of that, and I'm just not going to get sick. So, you know, I think attitude is important as well, and yeah, hopefully we'll get through this.
One thing's for sure, we will get through it, right? Because we get through everything. You know, that's for sure. The difference is the experience that we have of it. You know, that what's available to us, or so the situation can be the same or slightly different in different countries. It's different in Spain to how it is in the UK, how it is in Ireland, how it is in San Francisco. But the experience that we have something is what we create. That's what I've been talking about, or want to talk about in the webinars that I've been doing. I can't talk about the coronavirus, but I can talk about the experience that we create about the coronavirus. And that's the kind of message I think that all the coaches, and it's so interesting what's happened in my world, if you like, of coaches that share this understanding about how the mind works, or the psychological system that every single human being on the planet has, works the same for every single human being. I love that, this level playing ground. Like, we've talked about that with the coronavirus. It's like, you know, it doesn't discriminate. It's a bit like addiction, whatever, you know, there's this whole kind of, you know, it doesn't seem like anybody's safe from it, if you like, or anybody's more vulnerable than not to it. But when we're talking about the psychological system, we're talking about that's the same. It works the same for every single human being. And so everybody that I knew that has been sharing this understanding that's commonly known as the inside out understanding or the 3 principles, has been sharing this in businesses and in schools and within the nursing field and within the business field and within, you know, sporting academies or wherever. And suddenly everybody from that world has sort of come out now with like, okay, maybe this is a good time to really share this with everybody, because everybody seems to be in a different space to listen. People seem to be in a different space to listen. We've never had something since I've been coaching that has been the same across the world. Like we talk about our psychological system being the same across, you know, but this is now the same. So we're back on that whole global thing, like the equalizer, right? And seeing that there's nothing wrong there's nothing wrong with our experience. If we create one that's panicky or we create one that's calm, like you say, somebody might be calm and somebody else thinks they're sticking their head in the sand. Somebody else is panicking and somebody thinks they're overreacting. Like there's no wrong or right to the way that we create our own experience, but understanding how we create our own experience can just be really, really helpful if we have got stuck in that place of worry or panic or total insecurity. Because like I think, you know, Michelle was even pointing to earlier, it's being stuck in that mindset which can actually bring on kind of all sorts of symptoms, whether that be, you know, heart attacks, strokes, you know, that can have such an effect on our biology and our chemistry. You know, our psychological system is so powerful. The thought system is so powerful. And whatever way you deal with that, like Deirdre said, you know what, we're good. I'm not going to get sick. That might work for her and that might not work for somebody else, you know, but whatever works for you is just what's important right now. Whatever feels right for you is super, super important. And isn't that interesting that people, like some, you know, emergency rooms are full of people that have got this ache or this pain or this or that, or doctor's surgeries are full of people that actually just want to have a chat, or just, you know, they just need a bit of reassurance. And suddenly everyone's like that, oh, I'm all right, you know, I'm all right. And I find that quite, you know, further down the ling, and we will get through this because we get through everything, and if we don't, then we won't know about it anyway. So, you know, that's going to be another story. But going down the line, what I would love to hear from everyone on this call is, if you could change the world in any way that was possible, like say that you run the world and tomorrow the world could be different in any way for you, how would that be? How post-coronavirus, you know, like how would it be different? Whether that's how you work in the emergency services or how you work as a, you know, in your neighborhood. But if one thing could change because of this, what would that be?
Well, I'm not sure if you're talking about just me personally in my life, or are you talking about in general in the world?
Anything in your life.
Well, I don't know about the whole world, but I hope the US gets a decent healthcare system out of this. You know, I hope there's a wake up and a reality that, you know what, healthcare is a public health service and it's important to all of us, and you can't just leave it privatized and in the hands of businesses, because people fall through the cracks and that affects everybody. And that's been something that's been lacking here for a long, long time. And I hope there's a realization that, you know, we have to take care of everybody. It's not an option to only have people be responsible for their own, you know, and to hell with the people who don't have any money or who don't have the resources. So that's my big hope to come out of this. Like, there's several others, but that would be the big one.
We'll put that on the wish list then. We'll put that on the wish list. Yeah. Wouldn't that be lovely? You know, wouldn't that be amazing? Right, if there was a shift, whether we talk about it being a global shift or a shift in consciousness, or you know, people who are seeing this, wouldn't that be amazing if that could happen? I'm going to invite anybody else to unmute themselves who would love to see something change.
If the whole system changed with money, and I'm not saying sort of completely get rid of money, but where they proved that they can just print money like it's nothing anyway. I mean, it's not backed by anything anymore. It's not backed by gold, so they just keep printing money off. So why is it that they can do what they want, the powers that be, whoever they are, and we just keep going on the treadmill until they fuck it up again, and then they basically print more money and just look after themselves? So I would sort of say something like, I would really like to see that debt is completely gone from not just the debt that America are in and Britain are in, and I'm sure many other countries are around the world. But I would just like to see it all just go, everything, because it can go. They've proved that they can just do what they want anyway. So why don't they just take the pressure off of everybody? And you would see a lift in mental health instantly. People would just feel a complete weight lifted off of them. And I just think it would just be a nicer world in general. And I think we would all just look out for everybody anyway, which we do, which we've proved with this virus that we want to do that. It's a natural thing inside of us to do. What else? I'm just trying to think. There's probably loads of stuff that I'm missing, but that'd be a good start anyway, I think.
Do you know what jumped into my head when you said that, Sarah? How about we live like that? Whether we had debt or whether we had savings. How about it wasn't that important?
Yeah, just take that away, yeah.
Because that's available to us for it not to. I know it doesn't feel like it is, but that's available. That is available to us. But it does have so much pressure on us. I feel better when I've got money in the bank than money on my credit card. I feel better, even though I know that money's like just not really real, but it's the system, right? This could be amazing what's happening right now. There's something, for me, there's still that excitement underneath all of everything else that's really coming through. So we'll put that on the wish list, shall we, Sarah Cousin? We'll put that on the wish list. Has anybody else got anything to put on the wish list?
I suppose I'd like to think about people having what they need and sharing what they don't need with everybody else. Like, people seem to be trying to do that a bit more at the moment, instead of what they want, this, moving up for I need this, and keeping it with the Joneses, etc. Back to what you need, but everybody sharing all their skills. And maybe it's a little bit about like what Sarah's saying, you don't need money, you just need to be able to, if everybody did a bit of something for everybody else, it would all work out.
Isn't that so true? Wouldn't that be great if everyone could do what they did because they loved doing it, or they were good at it, or whatever it is, without the pressure of how much money it brought in, but just everyone did what they could from a free space. You know, that's amazing. We'll put that one on the list, Lynn. That one's going on the list. Can I invite anybody else that hasn't joined to speak up if they've got anything going on the wish list? Dougie, are you there? Are you joining us? Have you got any wishes? Your wish is my command. Dougie's not playing. Ross?
So yeah, we went for a big long walk today, and I'm really lucky living on the edge of all this moorland, and you know, there's no one to tell you off for being out your house for more than an hour. There's no drones buzzing you and taking photos of you or anything. But I mean, I live in this beautiful old farmhouse, and it was just walking around and just seeing all these old buildings and just sort of imagining what I put some planning permission in for a couple of alterations here, and all sort of the information that was there about people that lived here and what they did and all of that stuff. And I was just sort of thinking backwards really, and just, you know, everything we think is progress, it's not really, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's just stop and pause and reconnect and just look back at history and just realize that this treadmill we're all on, what's the progress really? It's just a lot of wasted energy in a lot of ways. And I don't know, just been reflecting on that today and just thinking, what's it all about really? You know, I'm on a plane, I'm a bit of a travel addict, and it's nice just I've not climbed that hill before. Do you know what I mean? At the back of my house, whereas I'm flying to other ends of the world every other month. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, Ollie's conquered that hill over there. And what's over there? Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's all there behind me. So
Yeah,
that's what I've been thinking about.
That's amazing, isn't it? How, like you say, even just this break then that the earth is getting right now from nobody flying or driving, and getting to know your neighborhood, and yeah, it's lovely, and bringing it all closer to home. We will start traveling again. I know, of course we will, because it's a big world, but it's really nice to just to get to know, your surroundings a bit more. Yeah.
Just
So
looking
that's
at
keeping it simple, isn't it? It's all keeping
Yeah.
it more simple, or not. That's what it's not searching for it. Like whatever you need is there. So it's nice to go away and do stuff, but you don't have to go away. Like you don't have to do all that to just. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. Oh, enjoy your hills and your climbing. Oh. Ladies, Debbie Bewley, have you anything you'd like to put on the wish list? If what's going on right now could bring a...
Well, I think very similar to what everybody else has said, but for me a big thing has been appreciating what I've got, and I hope that I and everybody takes that lesson with them. You know, we don't forget that, because it is so easy to forget and appreciate what you've got. Unfortunately, our society is all about, the next holiday or this or that and the other. But actually, when that's taken away from you, you realise, actually, I've got so much. I'm so lucky. And we don't need a lot. You realise you don't actually need a lot. Simple things actually matter and make you happy. I guess, that's me.
Yeah, that'd be nice if everyone took that away, right? To that gratitude and just simplicity. It's already there. Yeah, well, that's a good one. That'll go on the list. That'll go on the list. Sarah, can we invite you into the call?
Yeah. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, I completely agree with Debbie, actually. Like, just appreciating the things that are around you. Like the last few weeks, obviously we've been in for a few weeks anyway, but just with me and my children, you know, you can jet off all over the world, you can do this, you can do that, but actually it's, you know, we've really found that it's been nice to spend time together and just not do anything, just play games. And so for me, out of all of this, out of all the chaos and the awfulness that's going on right now, which I feel for everybody who's in that situation of, you know, losing loved ones, or, you know, people that are ill and stuff, which is just terrible. But I think, you know, when you're in your family time, or your people that you're with, that you're close to, or any situation where you just be in, it's just nice sometimes to pick up on the things that you've missed so much. I'm a real big person to go on holiday all the time and, you know, get on this flight, go there and get this, you know, but being able to not to fly and go to places has not brought me sadness, really. I've got a holiday booked in June, which I'm not going to be able to go on, but it's just about thinking, well, okay, this is how it used to be. This is how we used to be. We didn't jet off around the world. We used to just be with our family or with our friends or whoever was close to us and just enjoyed the company of those people. Or even to just sit on your own and think about stuff that you would never think about because you've got a million things to think about all the time and it's taken over your mind. But actually just to sit and think, even if you are on your own and you're isolated on your own, you can be, you know, you can be quite happy with yourself as well. What I've found, which I never thought I'd say, but I have actually thought that the last sort of maybe 2-3 weeks.
So enjoy that, hey, enjoy the simplicity and the being in connection and being present with your own children and family, and it's a gift, right? It's
Yeah.
It's like, it's so simple. It's a gift. Has anyone else not come on that wants to come on, that wants to add to our wish list of how we see what would be nice? Michelle, do you have anything, Michelle?
I think the first thing that I was actually going to say was, if there was such wish list, is for, you know, if I could wake up tomorrow and everything be better, is for everyone to be a bit less selfish and just for everyone just to be a bit more mindful of others and a bit more. And that was my first initial thought. But again, hearing Deirdre saying about the healthcare system, what actually popped in my head was for the NHS you know, over here, just to be given the funding that it deserves. It's been proved in the last few weeks. The money's been there all along. We was told, oh, there's no magic money tree. All of a sudden, a magic money tree's popped up and the funding's been there. So it's obviously, we know we've all been lied to by the people who run the country. Yeah, because of the money's just ching, 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 ching. It's being printed off. It is there. And I think if anything good was to come out of this, I was quite concerned that the NHS was getting privatised. It has been getting privatised. I've been saying this for a couple of years, and I was worried that there would be no NHS in a year's time. And I think after something like this, I can't see the government being able to get rid of our NHS now. So for my wish list, it would be, yeah, to carry on for the NHS becoming stronger and to be reinstated and not for it to be disbanded, which was my fear how it was going. So hopefully there's a whole new appreciation for the NHS, and if anything, what's happening at the moment is just cemented that. So yeah, the wish list would be for the NHS to continue to get bigger and support people how it should be. So yeah, it's made me realise of a positive that has come out of all what is going on at the moment.
It's all about love, right? At the end of the day, it's all about, you know, if the countries or if the world, it's funny, isn't it? I don't know, are we waiting for people at the top to have a shift in consciousness, or, you know, does that just, I don't know what the answer is, but what I do know is that that's available to every single person on the planet to wake up to what it is, to really wake up to, we've got love as our anchor and love as our base, and anything else we build upon that. So, you know, if we think it, it's available to us. And so the more that we do think about these things on our wish list, the more that we, you know, the more that we see that in action, the more that I don't know, it feels like there's this collectiveness that that's more possible, that our dreams are not impossible. And anything that anybody's, you know. Anybody else who hasn't joined in? Lynn or Doug? Would anybody like to say anything?
I've been sitting here in the background in the dark, not the real dark, obviously, but I haven't got a camera in my studio here, so
Welcome, Doug.
Been kind of a background. Thank you. Yeah, no, I think there's going to be a lot of reevaluation going on in the next, well, however long it takes for this to for us to overcome it. But yeah, even the would have that level of consciousness is going to, I think, reevaluate everything. I mean, everything, the way they live, the way we use things. Hopefully there won't be so much greed, which we've unfortunately seen in recent times with all the panic buying. I mean, what was that all about? And they're even nicking the flour now. I love baking bread. But they've gone for the egg. They've gone for the bog roll. They've gone for the eggs. Now they're going for the flour as well. But yeah, I think people will, when they come through this, they're going to think, oh, hang on a minute, I didn't really need all that. And maybe, just maybe, there was going to be that reevaluation going on. What do you think?
I didn't know about the flour.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
I didn't know about that. And
yeah, sorry, can I just unmute myself here? Doug, you really made me laugh because I went to buy some flour and some yeast to make my own bread, just in case. Literally, the shelves are stripped of yeast and flour, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is something."
No,
it really made me laugh. What you say is like, you know, it's lovely.
Yeah, no, I haven't been shopping for over 2 weeks, and I'm trying not to go because I just don't want to go out. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, this self-isolation thing, it's all very, nobody's noticed I'm doing it because that's what I do all the time anyway. So you know, nobody's really know. I can do my all my work from home, which is great. But I'm hoping when I do go into the shops, which is it's going to be in the next few days. Hopefully, there is going to be some flour there and stuff. Because, like, yeah, love a bit of baking. I have to say, the wine ran out 4 days ago. I'm quite surprised I'm not climbing the walls. You know, there we go.
You might have to get yourself. You might have to get yourself to the shop.
Yeah.
Amanda, can you speak? I've just got a question here from Deirdre. Amanda, can you speak to vibe in Spain now? Looks like things are starting to level off. Do you know what? I don't know, Deirdre, whether things are starting to level off. Our numbers look pretty high today. In fact, Dougie might be better. Dougie, you might be better off to speak to that. Do you think that it's leveling off here? It feels like it's peaked. Or it feels like we're at our peak.
I don't have this morning's figures. I think it's lunchtime, isn't it? The figures are released.
Yeah. Oh, Deirdre's got them there. What are they saying? 80,000, isn't it?
Here, let me just tell you. So Spain has had a drop in 8.5% of new cases and a drop in 2.7% of deaths. And it's been dropping steadily in Spain for the last 4 days. So that's
good.
That's kind of hopeful. I'm just wondering kind of what it feels like there. If people, you know, you can even tell, probably not from inside your house, right?
Yeah, I think that's let's say bye to everyone who has to leave. I understand some people have to go. So see you all. Lots of love. Thank you for being here. I think that, I think spirits seem really high, but I suppose I've been mixing with the expat communities online, really. So there's lots of groups and they're very good at that, aren't they? The British humour or the whatever it is, it feels like that's been very keeping it high. I don't know about, I haven't known anybody that's passed away from it or anything like that, even though there are 5,000 or 6,000 deaths or something, or I haven't known anybody. The closest I have is a friend's boyfriend now. So I don't know, but it seems like everybody's really welcomed what's happened, but that's only the community that I know. And I don't know if you're the same, Dougie. Does the spirit seem to be very high? Do you feel that in everybody that you've been with? Do you feel?
To be honest, I've been isolating that much that I haven't had much contact with the outside world at all. Apart from the guys at work who are going in and doing live stuff. Yeah, I mean, the only information I'm getting is via the British Embassy website and our own, actually, which is where we're relaying it. But yeah,
it seems like I mean, and Spain's got that pretty kind of, I don't know, that obviously that's quite laid back and mañana, but I don't know how the health system is here. I don't know how it, you know, I don't know how it's coping or whatever. So yeah, I'm not really able to answer that. But the general gist of everybody is very, very collective. Come together. We can do this. That's what I'm feeling. And
well, that's good to hear. But it looks like from the stats that, you know, Spain might be starting to level off.
Yeah, so I'd imagine we've reached our peak. I'd imagine that, and if we haven't, I think we're not far behind Italy or whatever. But you know, I think that everybody went everybody. Oh, that's good. You know, it's good if that's what they're saying. Everybody took it very seriously from very early on. Our lockdown was lockdown. You weren't allowed out. You know, I've got a dog. I'm allowed out to go for a walk. But it was very serious very quickly, and I think that was super.
Yeah, they certainly weren't messing around here, were they?
Yeah, you know.
Certainly, on social media, you'll see a lot of the English here with that sense of humour. Some of it a bit dark, but that's our coping mechanism, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We see whether it's wine or whether it's chocolate or whether it's exercise or whether it's
all of those.
Do that on purpose. Wine and chocolate. I've got neither.
I know. Alice went to the supermarket and they had not any chocolate, only big boxes, like of the most expensive chocolates, and there was one bottle of Lambrusco on the shelves. But that was 2 weeks ago. When I went on Saturday, my first time out in 2 weeks, and the supermarket was full. And it was funny because I went to the shop and I was like, I said, Alice, I'm going to go to the shop. She said, okay. And she said, have you got a mask? I said, no, I don't have one. I was like, oh, I'll make one, right, whatever. So I just had like this tight kind of headband thing. And then I was like, what do I need? And I was like, oh my God, it's like I can't remember how to go shopping after 2 weeks. Like, I don't know how to shop. I don't know what I need. I don't know what to do. And it's like, oh, how funny is that? In like 2 weeks that we all like.
I know, you're almost scared to go out sometimes, right? You're like, oh no, what do I do now? I can't go to the bank and pay money in. Not that the banks are open, because they're not, but it's just like, oh my God, what? You can't, yeah. Be scared.
Everyone, I think it's time I think everyone needs to go now. So I'm going to say cheerio and I'm going to stop the recording. And I'm going to thank you all for being here. It's been marvellous. Just thank you. Sending love to you all. I'm going to unmute everybody. Let me just unmute everybody.
Great to see you all. Thank you, Mandy.
And you. Nice to meet you, Deirdre.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Take care, all.
Yeah, take care, everyone.
Bye, darling.
Bye, Michelle.
Bye.